At CDI. My name is Kyle Nebel, technical trainer, and this being the month of October, Halloween month, we decided we'd give our presentation of scary moments in Laserfiche, recounting disasters and lessons learned. Don't want to scare you off, but we do want to cover some really neat and important topics here. So today's presentation, Scary Moments in Laserfiche, Recounting Disasters and Lessons Learned, is ready to go. All right, in this webinar, we're going to discuss some of the disasters that you, quote, could experience, we hope you don't, and how to prevent them. So the first topic would be, what would happen if your SQL database was corrupted? How would you recover the system? And what are your best and worst case scenarios? What if your most important documents were deleted? How would you restore them? What if you had a rogue employee in the system and they're leaking confidential data? What if your Laserfiche administrator is no longer able to be contacted? And finally, what if your Laserfiche server caught fire? Disaster recovery, if you will. Some important housekeeping items before we get started. You're all going to be on mute. However, we do have a questions box there in the GoToMeeting panel. So please feel free to send questions as we go through this. We'll answer those as best we can here. And if we aren't able to answer them during the session, we'll get back to you and answer those offline. If you want to, you can request the slideshow and screenshots after the fact, and we'll be happy to get this slide presentation to you. And just be aware that the webinar session will be recorded and we will post it up to our YouTube channel in just a couple days. And another housekeeping item, who's our target audience? Well, hopefully you are Laserfiche admins or subject matter experts. And if you happen to be IT staff who support Laserfiche, all the better, because a lot of this information is very germane to your role as system admins or database administrators. All right, first topic, what would happen if your SQL database was corrupted? How would you recover the system? And what are your best and worst case scenarios? Well, don't panic. But don't detach the database, don't restart the SQL Server services, don't run repair, but we do encourage you to call our CDI support desk to help evaluate what next steps should be. We have quite a bit of experience in this, and we would prefer to be able to help you before things got out of hand due to some kind of attempt to make a fix. We don't want you to get into too much trouble there. So we are here to help. What's the best case scenario? Well, you should have backups, and we do encourage you to set up that backup and test it. So the best case scenario, if something goes wrong, is you have a backup that you can restore, and then you can get that information back. We have a couple of YouTube videos available to you on our YouTube channel. Just go ahead and go to the channel, use the search box and type in backup. In fact, these two will come up in the list pretty quickly. The two videos we've done previously, what's your backup plan, options to back up your critical Laserfiche data, as well as best practices of Laserfiche database tuning and maintenance, which is slightly related and not necessarily a backup, but it does cover some items related. All right, now what could be the worst scenario? So go ahead and call us to identify the issues. If you don't have backups, transaction logs are part of the backup and can help get data back if you need to, but it's going to encompass some manual work, which is probably going to be something that your SQL DBA will need to be doing. The question is, what is does it look like, or how would you know when a SQL database is corrupted? You will get database errors from the Laserfiche client sometimes, maybe a error 9008. You might do searches and you'll get SQL error messages in the Laserfiche client. You could also be getting messages through the event logs on the server that point to database issues. Now, your IT staff probably are going to catch that. A Laserfiche user might not see some errors when it comes to corruption. So great question there. Thank you for that. But if you don't have a backup, we can identify what's going on and where you can start looking to make corrections. Please note that SQL DBA work is one of the things outside of our purview. SQL database backups and support are normally the client's responsibility. We do encourage you to take advantage of all the white papers Laserfiche has regarding that. There are, and we'll come back to that in a moment. All right. Next topic is, what if your most important documents were deleted? How would you restore them? And what if a hacker encrypted some but not all of your volumes? We'll talk about that here. You have a backup, right? The documents that you have in your system are a combination of SQL database information and actual files stored in the Laserfiche volume, or in Laserfiche volumes, plural. What's a volume? It's the file storage path where the files are actually stored. The SQL database contains pointers to those files, so that when you're using the Laserfiche client and you double click on a document name, the document name and its metadata is what's in the SQL database. But when you double click, the document viewer pops open and the images show up, that image is stored in the volume, or the PDF or the Word document, whatever you've double clicked to open. The file is in the volumes. The information about that file that you see in the client is in the SQL database. So there's at least two pieces of information you're backing up, right? The SQL database and your volumes. All right, now, if a document was deleted, the Laserfiche utility that you can get from their support site is the volume consistency checker. And this utility will compare what's in the SQL database to your volumes and check to see that what it's pointing to is actually there. Now, for restoration, the volume files can be restored, but here's the caveat: do not restore those volume files that you've discovered are missing to a production path. You will want to restore it to a different path so that you can compare what's in your current production path to the restored information, and then you can copy the files back into the system so that you can restore what's missing. Now, that brings up a point. Do we have to synchronize our SQL database backups and our Laserfiche volume backups? Yes, we do. All right. And the preference would be, if you're trying to time what they do every night, back up your volumes first, because that's going to take longer than your SQL database backups. SQL database backups are normally fairly quick as compared to the volume backups. Also, backups can be a full backup at one point in time, plus incremental backups that take a image at a certain regular point in time, so that you don't have to do a full restore every time or do a full backup every time. If you're doing these backups, you're probably in IT, but there are techniques to that, and we have quite a few references available to you. What does a volume look like? Well, here's a screenshot of the volume path that gets created for all the files in the system. As you can see, you could have, for one document, several files per document. And Laserfiche creates a very convoluted file path under those volumes. So if we're looking here at the default volume, it creates paths based on a hexadecimal numbering system and folder system. So as you can see, that's why it takes a lot longer to back up a volume than a SQL database, because there's just a lot more files and subfolders within there to get backed up. So when you do a restore of a volume or a certain path of a volume, the restore doesn't have to be the entire volume. You could restore just a portion of those files to your temporary location. All right, so very important to take a look at that and be aware that this is being backed up. All right, what about encrypting volumes? You can do this yourself, but what if a hacker did this? You don't know what the encryption key or password is, and you want to be able to get that back. Well, if you don't know the key or the password, you're going to have to restore from a backup. If you don't have a backup of that volume, well, you might need to pay the hacker for that decryption key. It's unfortunately a common thing these days. We just heard about it out in the world, where there are bad actors out there that are hacking and encrypting information and ransoming that info so that you can open it back up. And there's no guarantee that you can back that up, or if you even pay, that you get the key back so you can open up your info. So back up your info using backup tools that are available to you. Again, CDI doesn't provide that. That's a client's responsibility. But if your information is important to you, I think you'll probably already be doing this. Fantastic. All right. Next topic. What if you have a rogue employee in the system and they are leaking confidential data? So I had a client a while back report that they had found anecdotally, but they couldn't necessarily prove it, that somebody had viewed content in their repository when they thought they should not have been able to. Well, the first line of defense is to run an audit trail report. For most people these days, audit trail is part of your subscription, but if you have an older Laserfiche system, for example, Teams or United, which is really, really old, but still out there, previous on-premise systems with a perpetual license, you may not have audit trail licensed as part of your Laserfiche license. It's a good idea to have it if you have at least regulatory compliance needs, but if you need to report on what's happening in your repository and you want good information, that is an add-on that Laserfiche provides, and we can install and run. Now, when it comes to audit trail, you can set the auditing even if the audit reporting tool is not installed quite yet, but licensed. If you're licensed for audit trail, you can turn on auditing events within the repository in the admin console. And then later on, when you want to, you can run reports on who did what and when and where, and run some really nice reporting. For example, the audit trail event reporting tool, which is web-based, and you can see a screenshot of that here, we can look and see who's done exporting of information. All right, did they download, did they share it, things like that. Now I'll point out that most of the topics here today are for on-premise systems. Your cloud is already backed up, so and in cloud though, you do have audit trail reporting, so we'll just make that differentiation there. Do you need backups of your info if you're using Laserfiche Cloud? No, because that is being backed up by Laserfiche for you. All right. A audit trail report will have lots of information: the event time, the event type, the application that was doing that. You can even sometimes capture which workstation that event occurred on, who did it, and all the other information that is available in Laserfiche can be reported on as well. So a great tool. Now, if you discover that this is happening, there's some remedies that you can do. If a rogue employee is there, go ahead and feel free to, you can check their last login info, and those accounts, whether they be a Windows account or a repository user or Laserfiche directory account, they can be disabled. So you can check that. So under the, if it's a repository named user, which is not a Windows account, you can disable it. If it's a Windows account, you can go to the admin console and deny their access. If it is a account that you have created in the Laserfiche directory server, go to the accounts tab and then go to the account name and disable that account. There's a toggle under the properties for that account. You can see that on the number 3 item there, and then save that change. That prevents that user from signing in to Laserfiche if they are an LFDS account or a Windows account. And if they're not one of those two and they're using a repository account, which would be used in typically United or Teams environments, again, an older licensing model, disabling the account is just a checkbox on their account. All right, so some methods there that can prevent a user from doing further leaks if you want to prevent them from logging into Laserfiche. Some rules that we'd like to recommend. For user accounts, it's best not to use generic accounts like operations or front desk, which I've seen, so that a user theoretically could be 2 different people using the same account. Unfortunately, that does violate the Laserfiche end user license agreement, but I've seen that, and again, it's not something we encourage at all. The other downside is you can't really figure out exactly who did that if people are sharing an account, which is, again, not allowed. Therefore, you'd never really be able to determine who did the work, even though they're using a generic account. It's not connected to any one person's name. All right, so really big hole there when it comes to generic accounts. Next topic is, what if your Laserfiche administrator is no longer able to be contacted at all? What if we have to do a seance? We're not getting anything from them. I hesitate to tell you that, but unfortunately, if your administrator is out of the country or off the planet, it's unfortunately one of those things where we recommend the following. Assign a backup administrator, cross-train them, and give their account administrative privileges and other rights as appropriate. So cross-training that administrator would be a great idea so that they can cover you when maybe the admin's on vacation and something else has to be done. We've had this occur. Now, what if there is no backup administrator? Well, we can help promote that person in there. There are tricks available to us. Call our support line if you have questions. But hopefully the cross-trained administrator has been given privileges like we see here. These are found in the admin console on the account of that user, whether it be Windows or a repository user. They should be assigned, if they are going to be a true administrator and backing up the main admin, they should have these privileges assigned. And that could be anywhere from creating templates and fields to creating users and managing entry access. Okay. Really important pieces of the puzzle, and you don't have to necessarily give them everything if you don't want to. Maybe if it's a temporary situation where admin's just on vacation, they might not need managing entry access, but maybe some of the other privileged tasks. Also, a user could be added to LFDS so that they can create accounts as well for new accounts. The admin usually has access in LFDS, but to have that, and in order to hit the LFDS website, you need to be added to a special group that's on the Laserfiche server on which LFDS is installed. And in the users and groups management node for that server for Windows, and this is a Windows group, not a Laserfiche group of any kind, go ahead and add those Windows accounts. You can see that there's an account added here from this domain, from our Cities Digital domain, but the group is the Laserfiche Directory Service Administrators group. All right, so you'll find that in there. And LFDS is available in Rio or Avante installations, not in Teams or United. So you won't see this installed anywhere for those particular Teams or United systems. Again, those are much older and there's very few of them still in active functionality. All right, and finally, if you have no access and you need our help, we can certainly help. Go ahead and reach out to us. We have our website. Just go to cdi.support and click on the contact us or the scroll down to the support link, and you can either enter a support request on the website or even send an email or give us a call. We are here to help, and we certainly can give it our best shot and help you with our tools. All right, and then finally, the scariest scenario of all, it's Halloween and your server has caught fire. This is a disaster recovery scenario that we hope you never ever see. If it's underwater or has caught fire, that's just the worst of worst, and we don't want to see that. We hope it never happens. However, let's get a backup plan in place. All right, there are lots of tools to help. Laserfiche has a repository backup summary generator, and this again would be for on-premise systems. You don't have to worry about this if you have Laserfiche Cloud, but for on-premise systems, you're going to have some information that needs to be backed up. This will tell you in a HTML report what components should be included, and then you can pick those out if you need to. There's lots of backup tools out there. I've seen Veeam and other tools for making image snapshots of your servers, which makes restoration easy and as painless as possible. It's still no fun to do restorations, but that is better than nothing, right? I do recommend, again, going to our YouTube channel and checking out the videos for backing up and database maintenance available there. There's a great white paper on Laserfiche's support site called Designing a Laserfiche Backup and Recovery Plan. It's a bit older, but it is still current to every system built these days. Yes, the SQL database versions are getting newer, but the theory and implementation of backups has not changed in ages, and it's best practice for everybody to do. Now, on Laserfiche's support site, if you don't have a site login, it's free. You just need to know your Laserfiche serial number, which is available either through the admin console on the server properties, or in the Windows client, you can click on Help About Laserfiche, and that serial number will be there as well as your company name. There's a unique company name that goes along with your serial number. As long as you have those pieces of information, you can go to the support site, create your own new account. If you don't have one, you'll be signed up immediately, and you'll then have access to this as well as other content. Unlike the documentation, which is free, there's other content, including training content, which goes beyond that, but they have a great resource there at the Laserfiche support site. The link is down below in this slide. And again, if you get a copy of this slide, it'll be an active link. So with backups, you're going to want to test them. Now, for Laserfiche Avante, older versions, Teams, and United, to restore a backup into a non-production system, you're going to want to request a temporary license. Yes, we can get that for you, and that will be good for the test purposes. That way you can restore from a backup, turn on a test environment, and then check to see that your backups are effective. Okay. For Rio, the great news is you can create up to 1,000 repositories on as many Laserfiche servers as you want. So you could turn up a new Laserfiche server virtual machine, create a test Laserfiche repository in there, and restore the contents of your backup, both SQL database and volumes, to that test environment, and double check that your repository is working. And the backup is working for sure, right? So some really great info there. All right, if you have any questions, I will be here for the next few minutes. We do appreciate those questions. Go ahead and post them in the question box. Some helpful resources, as I mentioned, we have our support site and on our CDI website. Go ahead and click on the link for contact us or support. You'll find that very easily at the top. All right, and that's at cdi.support. Our YouTube channel, go to YouTube /@CDI_official, or just search on your favorite web browser for CDI YouTube. That'll take you there. In that YouTube channel, they all have a search option, a little magnifying glass on the far right side of the list of topics there. Go ahead and type in backup to find topics that go along with today's item. Our webinars are monthly, and we encourage you to sign up for those. We'll see you at the next one, we hope, very soon. We do send out monthly blogs. We call them fish tips, and those are there, as well as our newsletter. So we encourage you to partake in that. Laserfiche has, as I mentioned, quite a few support resources and training options as well. So if you want to get trained and certified on Laserfiche products, their Aspire training course site is accessed through the support site, which is accessed through a free Laserfiche support site account, which I just mentioned earlier. So look forward to seeing you learn and get certified. Laserfiche has getting started guides. Does that topic include backups? It might, but if you have real tough questions, the Laserfiche Answers Forum is there. I have seen some answers that try and guide you into doing things that might not be particularly well recommended as far as database recovery and disaster recovery. I think the main message we want to give here is, if you have any questions and you're not sure, please call our support desk. We can guide you to the next steps. Even if it's something we can't do, we can tell you what does need to be done. All right, but the Answers Forum does have some info as well. How do you get a copy of the slide deck? Go ahead and shoot me an email. I do answer that, or just send it to professional services as well, or just to me, kyle.niebel@cdi.support. I'll be happy to get the slide deck to you. The video is being recorded, and you will see this on our YouTube channel in the next few days. So you'll see this as well up there. All right, so I saw those couple questions come up. Do appreciate all your attendance here today, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Laserfiche webinar here from CDI. Have a great rest of the day. Take care until then.